You're probably wondering whether Black Ops 7 is worth your attention and money this year. Well, if you haven't had a chance to play the beta and you want an honest assessment as to whether you should buy Black Ops 7 this year, then you're in the right place. I'll be going through the negatives and positives of the game from my perspective, as someone who has played hundreds of hours in Call of Duty games, but also as someone who loves Battlefield. And yes, wall jumping will be a topic of conversation. At the end, I'll also give my brutally honest opinion on this game and in Call of Duty in general. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Booting up the game then, you're greeted with clean and familiar menus, similar to recent titles. The visuals have been enhanced well to make it easier on the eye, and it certainly feels slick when navigating through the game settings as well as the gunsmith. They certainly deserve points for keeping what has worked and refining it rather than reinventing the wheel on this one. Now, the maps we got to play in the beta are colourful and clean with limited clutter, allowing you to really focus on the gunplay. I have no real issues with them really. Ultimately, if you have played Call of Duty over the past 5 years, similar principles have been deployed here, and these maps certainly don't feel out of place in a Call of Duty game. There is one thing, however, about the maps that does feel like poor design, which we'll get into later, but overall the maps offer a pretty good experience. I must admit, I've really enjoyed the gunplay in the beta, and I'd go so far as to say it's the most refined yet when compared with some of the most recent Call of Duty games. It's not too dissimilar to Black Ops 6, but feels tighter and more fluid than that of its predecessor. Overall, it feels crisp and satisfying, whether you are playing with an assault rifle or sniper. Each kill still feels really rewarding. And in general, the game just feels like a really well polished game, something I haven't experienced too often in recent history with the franchise. For the futuristic aesthetic it's going for, I haven't found too much that looks or feels out of place. Before I got hands-on with the game, I thought that most of the guns will probably be shooting things like lasers, but what did surprise me is most of them still feel pretty grounded in what feels like modern day combat. For a player like me who doesn't particularly vibe with the futuristic theme, this certainly added satisfaction to my overall experience. In general, I think polished really sums up the overall positives to the game. To me, it just feels like a more polished version of Black Ops 6 that's pretty much better in every department. The aesthetic they're going for just works, but I do feel like I can't really go much further in delivering any more than that. This is because everything else we've more or less seen in other recent Call of Duty titles. This game just adds that polish that perhaps has been missing on a few of the other titles most recently. On to the negatives then. The first one is the repetitiveness. The game just feels repetitive. And I'm not just talking about that from a sense of you spawn, get a few kills and die, but after 4 hours of play, I felt like I was just on the treadmill of another Call of Duty title. By the 2 hour mark in my first session, I'd gotten used to all of the new mechanics and guns, and it just felt like I could have been playing pretty much any other title that has been launched over the past 5 years and get more or less the exact same experience. The game overall lacks any sort of innovation to make this new game feel any different to the other experiences it has offered since Modern Warfare 2019. After a few hours of play, once you get over the new guns and the theme of the game, the whole thing already just starts to feel a bit stale. And this is where they've tried to revamp things by adding wall jumping, and it's an absolute gimmick. I felt as though adding it in hasn't really added anything to the experience of the game, and it feels like it's something you should do in the game just because it's in there, rather than it complementing the overall flow. It also makes it less predictable of where players are going to be, meaning you get killed with some very random movement. Some people will like it, but I personally do not. It adds no value in my eyes other than becomes quite annoying to play against, whilst feeling like you have to do it because it's in the game. I can't help but feel they have used this as a big marketing tool to make something look different about the game when comparing it with Black Ops 6. I just think it's silly and it adds nothing to the overall experience. Although the maps are pretty solid, some don't play so well. They're rectangular in shape, but in a shorter sense rather than long, so like horizontal. This has led to me feeling that there was always an enemy to the left or right of you in most instances. The flow felt very concentrated at times and can be quite random. The shape of the maps adds to the fast-paced nature of the game, but it means you die a lot more due to the unpredictability of it. This was something I found pretty jarring, but it's probably something over time you can get used to, but they don't feel consistent with designs of previous titles in regard to the overall shape of the maps. As part of the map issue, the spawns on a lot of occasions felt ridiculous, often either spawning in front or behind, even to the side. I feel like this is the same every single year, that we have to complain about spawns, and it's always something they adjust later on, but surely they should just be getting this right first time by now. Overall, the spawns in their current iteration can be super frustrating. On to the final thing that I will complain about, even though everyone else does, but I'm sick of it now, is skill-based matchmaking. Just as I was doing this video, they decided to remove SBMM, or SBMM, in the game. And I've just played an hour and a half-ish of no SBMM lobbies, and the experience is completely different to playing at the start of the beta. So if you're listening, Activision, if you want your game to get better and be one for the future, just remove it, please. Anyway, back to the video. Activision just need to tone it down. I mentioned earlier, I felt like I was on a CoD treadmill. This is a big reason why I feel this way. Just when you feel like you've had a good round, SBMM slaps you back down to earth with a lobby that wouldn't be out of place in a CDL event. This has been discussed at length in the community over the past 5 years or so, and I won't go into it here again, other than to say this needs to be changed. I'm super fatigued from the SBMM rat race, and playing this beta has already given me an idea of what this will be if I were to buy this game. Just get rid of it, it will make the experience better for everyone. In summary, this is a good Call of Duty game that feels very well polished and will meet the expectations if you're a player that likes a futuristic game. The game does everything it is advertised it will do, but that's as far as it goes. There is nothing else to boast about or talk about, as they haven't really delivered anything different compared to other recent titles. Where I stand with this game is, as good as it is and as polished as it feels, I hate futuristic settings to start with. So this game will not be for me. But overlooking that, this just feels like the same old CoD with no ideas and with a £70 price tag attached to it. SBMM will have you grinding it yet again, and I'm just at a point with Call of Duty where I'm so fatigued by the constant pressure to be sweating that I just don't want to do it anymore. Once you chuck in the fact that it feels like the same as the games throughout the last 5 years, it's quite simply just boring to me. Even during my first session, I could feel myself zoning out and hitting a bit of a wall with it. For these reasons, this will be the first year where I don't buy Call of Duty for quite some time. I will still play Warzone for free from time to time, but when you have Battlefield 6 around the corner with no SBMM and it being a proper sandbox experience where you can choose to sweat, chill, or play the game however you please, I know where my time and money will be invested over the next year. Guys, if you found this video helpful, please drop a like and subscribe for more content like this, and also regular live streams, and I will see you in the next one.